The rain pounded against the floor-to-ceiling windows of the towering Parker Industries building, streaking the glass like tears on a cold face. On the 37th floor, inside the most luxurious office in the city, a grown man sat with his head in his hands. Marcus Parker, CEO of a billion-dollar empire, master of boardrooms, conqueror of markets, looked utterly defeated. On his mahogany desk sat a resignation letter, the 14th one this year. "I'm sorry, Mr. Parker," the letter read. "Your daughter is beyond help. I cannot stay another day." Another nanny gone, another failure, another reminder that all his wealth, all his power, all his influence could not solve the one problem that truly mattered: his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily Parker had become a legend in the childcare world, but not the kind any parent would want. Nannies shared horror stories about her at agencies across the city. Some refused to even interview for the position. Others lasted days, sometimes hours. The longest one managed 3 weeks before she packed her bags, trembling, refusing to even collect her final paycheck. They all said the same thing: something is wrong with that child. But what nobody understood, what nobody bothered to find out, was why. And that was about to change, because a poor girl named Emma Grace, with nothing to lose and everything to prove, was about to walk into the Parker mansion. She would do what no expensive nanny, no child psychologist, no specialist from around the world could do. She would see the truth, and that truth would change everything. But to understand what Emma would accomplish, we need to understand where it all began. We need to go back to a time when Lily Parker wasn't a problem to be solved, but a happy little girl with the world at her feet. 3 years earlier, the Parker family was the picture of perfection. Marcus, then just 42, had recently taken his company public, making him one of the youngest billionaires on the East Coast. His wife, Caroline, was a former ballet dancer turned philanthropist, known for her grace, her beauty, and her endless kindness. And Lily, their only child, was the center of their universe. At 5 years old, Lily had her mother's golden hair, her father's sharp intelligence, and a personality that could light up any room. She loved painting, playing piano, and most of all, she loved watching her mother dance in the private studio Caroline had built in their mansion. Every afternoon, Lily would sit cross-legged on the polished floor, mesmerized as her mother twirled and leaped across the room. "You dance like an angel, Mommy," Lily would say, and Caroline would laugh, scoop her daughter into her arms and say, "One day, my darling, you'll dance too, and you'll be even more beautiful than me." Those were the golden days. Days filled with laughter, with warmth, with a kind of love that makes a house feel like heaven. But heaven, as we all learn, is never permanent. It happened on a Tuesday in March, 3 years before our story begins. Caroline had taken Lily to dance class in the city. The drive was one they had made hundreds of times, along the scenic coastal road that Caroline loved for its ocean views. No one could say exactly what happened. Perhaps a deer, perhaps a moment of distraction, perhaps simply fate, cold and merciless. The car left the road at the sharpest curve, rolling 3 times before coming to rest at the bottom of a ravine. When the rescue teams arrived, they found 5-year-old Lily still strapped in her car seat, physically unharmed, but screaming so loudly that the first responder said he would never forget the sound as long as he lived. Caroline Parker did not survive. Marcus received the call in the middle of a board meeting, the most important meeting of his career. He remembered the moment his phone buzzed. He remembered answering it impatiently, ready to silence whoever was interrupting. And then he remembered nothing but falling. The funeral was held on a gray Sunday, attended by hundreds of people who knew Carolyn, loved Carolyn, admired Carolyn. But the only person who truly understood what had been lost was the small girl in the black dress who stood by the casket, silent, her eyes empty in a way that terrified everyone who looked at her. Lily did not cry at her mother's funeral. She did not speak. She simply stood there, holding onto a small pink ballet slipper that had belonged to her mother, clutching it like a lifeline. And from that day forward, nothing was ever the same. The first signs of trouble came within weeks. Lily, once chatty and cheerful, stopped speaking almost entirely. When she did speak, it was in short, cold sentences that seemed to come from somewhere far away. "I'm not hungry. Leave me alone. Go away." Marcus, drowning in his own grief, hired the first nanny he could find, a kind woman named Helen, who had 20 years of experience and excellent references. Helen lasted 11 days. "She locked herself in her room for 6 hours," Helen reported, her face pale. "When I finally got the door open, she had destroyed everything, every toy, every book, every picture of her mother. She looked at me like I was a stranger and said, 'You're not my mom. You'll never be my mom. Get out of my house.'" Marcus apologized, paid Helen generously, and hired someone else. And so began the parade. There was Margaret, the child psychology specialist who believed she could break through Lily's walls with patience and structured activities. She lasted 3 weeks before Lily set fire to her lesson plans in the kitchen sink and told her, "Your methods are boring, and you smell like old cheese." There was David, the first male nanny, hired in hopes that a different approach might work. Lily barely acknowledged his existence for 4 days, then flooded the upstairs bathroom so severely that it caused $20,000 in damage. When David demanded she apologize, she looked him dead in the eye and said, "I don't apologize to the help." There was Svetlana, the stern Russian woman who boasted that she had raised diplomats' children and could handle anyone. Lily discovered her weakness within 48 hours. Svetlana was terrified of spiders. How Lily managed to collect so many of them, no one ever figured out. But Svetlana's screams could be heard 3 blocks away. There was Jennifer, the bubbly young woman who believed love conquers all. Lily destroyed that belief in 9 days. Jennifer left in tears, saying the child had looked at her with such cold hatred that she felt physically ill. And on it went. With each nanny who left, Lily grew worse, more aggressive, more withdrawn, more untouchable. She stopped going to school after too many incidents with classmates. Private tutors were hired and quickly dismissed. She refused to eat with her father, refused to leave her room, refused to do anything except sit by the window in her mother's old dance studio, clutching that pink ballet slipper, staring at nothing. Marcus tried everything. Therapists, psychiatrists, specialists from Europe, from Japan, from the most prestigious institutions in the world. They all came, they all tried, and they all failed. "Your daughter has severe trauma," one specialist explained. "She's expressing her grief through destructive behavior. She needs consistent care, patience, and time." But no one would stay long enough to give her those things. And Marcus, consumed by work, paralyzed by his own grief, found himself increasingly absent from his daughter's life. He told himself it was necessary. The company needed him. Employees depended on him. The world didn't stop spinning just because his wife had died. But deep down, he knew the truth. He couldn't face Lily. Every time he looked at her, he saw Caroline. In her eyes, in her hair, in the way she tilted her head when she was thinking. Looking at Lily meant facing the loss, meant feeling the pain, meant acknowledging that the perfect life he had built was gone forever. So he buried himself in work, and he hired people to deal with his daughter, and he told himself it was the best he could do. It wasn't enough. By the time Lily turned 8, she was known throughout the city's nanny network as the untouchable. Agencies refused to send candidates. Headhunters demanded triple rates just to make calls. The last nanny, number 13, had quit after just 4 hours, saying the child had threatened to push her down the stairs. Marcus was desperate. His mother, who lived in Florida, called weekly to lecture him about parenting. His board of directors was starting to notice his distraction. And worst of all, He could see something in Lily's eyes that terrified him more than anything else. Emptiness. His daughter was disappearing right in front of him, and he had no idea how to stop it. That was when he met Emma Grace. It happened by accident, as the most important things in life often do. Marcus had taken Lily to a charity gala at a downtown hotel, one of the few events he still attended with his daughter. It was mostly for appearances, a photo opportunity to show the world that Marcus Parker was not just a successful businessman, but also a devoted father. Lily hated these events. She stood beside her father in her expensive dress, her face blank, her eyes scanning the room with something that looked like contempt. Marcus held her hand, more to keep her from running away than out of affection. The evening was going poorly. Lily had already insulted the mayor's wife by asking why her face looked like plastic. She had refused to eat anything from the buffet because, according to her, rich people food tastes like cardboard. And she had made a 12-year-old boy cry by telling him his ears looked like satellite dishes. Marcus was exhausted. "Daddy," Lily said suddenly, her voice flat, "I need to use the bathroom." Marcus looked around. The bathroom was down a long hallway past the coat check. He couldn't leave the main room, not now, not when 3 different executives were waiting to talk to him. "Can you go by yourself?" he asked. "I'll watch the hallway from here." Lily shrugged and walked away, disappearing into the crowd. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. Marcus excused himself from a conversation and hurried down the hallway, his heart pounding. The bathroom door was locked. He knocked, then pounded, calling Lily's name. No answer. Just as he was about to call security, a side door opened, and out walked Emma Grace, leading Lily by the hand. Marcus froze. Emma was young, maybe 23 or 24, with dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail and kind brown eyes. She wore the uniform of the hotel staff, a plain black vest over a white shirt. Her hands were rough, her shoes worn, and there was a tiredness in her face that spoke of long hours and hard work. But what caught Marcus's attention wasn't Emma. It was Lily, his daughter, the child who hadn't smiled in 3 years, the terror of every nanny in the city, was looking up at Emma with something he hadn't seen in so long he'd almost forgotten what it looked like. Trust. "I found her in the kitchen," Emma explained, her voice soft but steady. "She said she got lost. We talked for a while. I hope that's okay." Marcus didn't know what to say. He looked at his daughter. "Lily, are you all right?" Lily nodded, still holding Emma's hand. "She's nice, Daddy. She doesn't pretend." Emma looked confused. "Pretend? All the other adults pretend," Lily said matter-of-factly. "They pretend to like me. They pretend to care. But their eyes are wrong. They're scared or annoyed or tired. Emma's eyes are different. She's sad like me, but she's not scared." Marcus stared at his daughter in shock. This was more than Lily had said to anyone in months. Emma knelt down to Lily's level. "I'm sorry you're sad, sweetheart. What makes you sad?" Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, she said, "My mommy's gone, and nobody understands." Marcus felt his heart crack open. Emma nodded slowly. "I understand. My mommy's gone too. It happened when I was younger than you, and you're right. Most people don't understand. They say things like, 'She's in a better place,' or 'Time heals everything.' But that's not what you need to hear, is it?" Lily shook her head. "What you need," Emma continued, "is for someone to say that it's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to miss her every single day for the rest of your life, because that's what love is. Love doesn't stop just because someone isn't here anymore." Lily threw her arms around Emma's neck and held on tight. Marcus Parker, CEO of a billion-dollar company, man who had negotiated with world leaders and commanded boardrooms full of executives, stood in a hotel hallway and cried. The next morning, Marcus did something he had never done before. He went to find Emma Grace. The hotel manager gave him her information reluctantly. Emma was a part-time employee, working nights and weekends while attending community college during the day. She lived in a small apartment in a rundown neighborhood on the east side of the city, supporting herself and her younger brother, who was in high school. Marcus found the address and drove there himself, parking his luxury car between a dumpster and a broken fence. The apartment building was old, its paint peeling, its windows cracked. He climbed 3 flights of stairs past graffiti-covered walls and doors that had seen better days. When Emma opened her door, she looked surprised, then worried. "Mr. Parker, is Lily okay?" "She's fine," Marcus said quickly. "Better than fine, actually. This morning she asked for pancakes. She hasn't asked for food in I can't remember how long, and she mentioned you. She asked if you could come visit." Emma's eyes widened. "Me? Why?" "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "And honestly, I don't care. All I know is that you did something in 15 minutes that no therapist, no specialist, no nanny has been able to do in 3 years. You reached her." He paused, gathering his courage. "I want to offer you a job. I need someone to take care of Lily. Live-in position. Salary, benefits, everything you could need. You would want for nothing." Emma shook her head. "Mr. Parker, I'm not a nanny. I'm a hospitality student. I work at a hotel. I don't have any training for this." "I've hired training," Marcus said. "I've hired experience, credentials, and references. None of it worked. What my daughter needs isn't a professional. She needs someone who understands her, and for some reason, that seems to be you." Emma looked back into her apartment. Marcus caught a glimpse of a small living room, a second-hand couch, a boy in a school uniform doing homework at a tiny table. "I have a brother," Emma said quietly. "I can't just leave him." "Bring him," Marcus said without hesitation. "There's room. He can go to the best school in the city. All expenses paid. I'll make sure he has everything he needs." Emma stared at him. "Why would you do that for someone you just met?" "Because my daughter smiled at you," Marcus said, his voice breaking, "and I would give everything I have to see her smile again." There was a long silence. Then Emma's brother appeared in the doorway, a thin boy of about 15 with the same brown eyes as his sister. "Em? What's going on?" Emma looked at her brother, then at Marcus, then at her worn-down apartment, at the life of struggle and sacrifice she had built since their mother's passing. "Give me a day," she said finally. "I need to think." Marcus nodded and handed her his card. "Take whatever time you need, but please, help me save my daughter." He turned and walked away, leaving Emma standing in her doorway, holding a business card that felt like a lifeline. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She sat on her small bed in her small room, looking at the card in her hand. Marcus Parker, CEO, a phone number, a single word handwritten on the back. "Please." Her brother Danny was already asleep in the next room. He had school early, and he was always exhausted. At 15, he was working harder than most adults, juggling homework, a part-time job at the grocery store, and helping Emma with bills whenever he could. They had been on their own for 7 years now. Their mother, Rosa Grace, had been a house cleaner who worked for wealthy families across the city. She had died of cancer when Emma was 17, and Danny was just 8 years old. No life insurance, no savings, no family to turn to. Emma had dropped out of high school to work. She had taken any job she could find, cleaning, serving, catering, whatever paid the bills. She had raised Danny on her own, making sure he stayed in school, making sure he had clothes and food and a warm place to sleep. It hadn't been easy. There were months when they ate nothing but rice and beans. There were winters when they couldn't afford heat. There were nights when Emma cried into her pillow, exhausted and afraid, and wondering if she was doing enough. But they survived. Danny was thriving in school, getting good grades, dreaming of college. Emma was taking night classes, slowly working toward a degree that might open doors to a better life. And now, this. The offer from Marcus Parker was more than just a job. It was a chance. A chance to give Danny everything their mother had wanted for him. A chance to stop struggling, Stop worrying. Stop drowning in bills and exhaustion. But it was also terrifying. Emma had seen Lily's eyes, that empty, wounded look of a child who had lost everything. She had recognized it because she had seen the same look in her own mirror 7 years ago. Could she really help this girl? What if she failed? What if she made things worse? Emma looked at her mother's old photograph on the nightstand. Rosa was smiling in the picture, young and beautiful, before the sickness had taken everything. "What would you do, Mama?" Emma whispered into the dark. And in her heart she already knew the answer. Rosa Grace had spent her whole life helping others, cleaning their homes, caring for their children, making their lives easier while barely surviving her own. She never complained, never asked for recognition, never wanted anything except for her children to have a better future. "Help people when you can," Rosa used to say, "even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because kindness is never wasted, Mija. It always comes back." Emma closed her eyes and made her decision. The next morning she called Marcus Parker. "I'll do it," she said. On the other end of the line she heard something that sounded like relief. "Thank you," Marcus said. "When can you start?" "Tomorrow," Emma replied. "But I want to be clear about something. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I saw a little girl who needs help. And I think I understand what she's going through." "Whatever your reasons," Marcus said, "you're giving my daughter a chance. That's all that matters." 2 days later, Emma and Danny arrived at the Parker mansion. They stood at the front gates, looking up at the enormous stone structure that rose before them like something out of a fairy tale. The mansion had to be at least 20,000 square feet, with towering columns, endless windows, and gardens that seemed to stretch forever. "Holy," Danny breathed. "This is insane. We're going to live here?" Emma swallowed hard. "Apparently." The gates opened automatically, and a butler appeared to escort them inside. His name was Harold, and he had worked for the Parker family for 30 years. He was polite but guarded, clearly skeptical of this young woman who was supposed to succeed where so many had failed. "Miss Lily is in her room," Harold said as they walked through the grand foyer. "She has been informed of your arrival. I should warn you, she does not take well to new people." "I've been warned," Emma said. Harold led them to their quarters on the second floor, a suite of rooms that was bigger than Emma's entire apartment. Danny immediately started exploring, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Em, there's a TV the size of a wall, and a bathtub that could fit like 6 people. This is insane." Emma smiled at her brother's excitement, but her mind was elsewhere. She was thinking about Lily, somewhere in this enormous house, waiting for another stranger to try and fix her. "I'd like to see Lily now," Emma told Harold, "if that's okay." Harold looked surprised. "Most of the nannies request a day to settle in first." "I'm not most nannies," Emma said. Harold's expression changed ever so slightly. Something like respect flickered in his eyes. "Very well. This way?" He led her up another flight of stairs, down a long hallway lined with expensive paintings and marble sculptures. At the end of the hall was a door painted pale pink with a small sign that read Lily's room in faded letters. "I should tell you," Harold said quietly. "The last nanny who entered without permission had her hair set on fire." Emma blinked. "Excuse me?" "A lighter. Miss Lily found it somewhere. She said the nanny's hair looked like a candle." Harold shook his head. "The woman survived, but her wig did not." Emma took a deep breath. Noted. She knocked on the door. 3 soft taps. No answer. She knocked again. "Lily, it's Emma. We met at the hotel. Do you remember?" A long pause. Then a small voice from inside. "Go away." "I'm not going anywhere," Emma said gently. "But I won't come in unless you want me to. I just wanted to say hello." Another pause. "Why?" "Because I told you I'd visit, and I always keep my promises." Silence stretched on for what felt like forever. Emma waited, impatient, her hand resting on the door. Then, slowly, the door cracked open. Lily's face appeared in the gap. Her blue eyes were red-rimmed, as if she'd been crying. Her golden hair was tangled and unwashed. She wore the same black dress Emma had seen her in at the gala, as if she hadn't changed in days. "You came back," Lily said, her voice filled with disbelief. "I told you I would." Lily studied Emma's face for a long moment, searching for something. Whatever she was looking for, she seemed to find it. "Okay," she said finally. "You can come in, but only you. Not the old man." Harold raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Emma slipped through the door, and Lily closed it behind them. The room was chaos. At first glance, it looked like a tornado had hit. Toys were scattered everywhere, clothes were piled in corners, and the walls were covered with drawings, hundreds of them, taped and tacked and stuck everywhere possible. In the center of the room, on a small bed with pink sheets, sat a single worn pink ballet slipper. But when Emma looked closer at the drawings, her heart stopped. Every single one was of the same woman. A beautiful blonde in a ballet pose, arms extended, face serene. Some drawings were crude, the work of a young child. Others were more sophisticated, showing years of practice, but they all depicted the same figure. "Your mom?" Emma asked softly. Lily nodded. "I draw her so I don't forget." Emma felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. "These are beautiful, Lily." Lily shrugged, but Emma could see a flicker of something in her eyes. Pride, maybe, or longing. "The other nannies said I should stop," Lily continued. "They said it wasn't healthy. They wanted me to throw them away and move forward." Emma shook her head. "That's terrible advice." Lily looked up surprised. "You don't have to move forward," Emma said. "Not if you're not ready. Grief isn't something you finish. Like a homework assignment, it's something you carry. And over time, it gets a little lighter, a little easier. But you never have to stop loving her. You never have to stop remembering." Lily was quiet for a moment. Then she sat down on her bed and picked up the pink slipper, cradling it in her hands. "This was hers," she said. "I kept it, from the studio." "From when she danced?" Lily nodded. "She was going to teach me. She said when I turned 6 she would start teaching me ballet, but," her voice broke, "she didn't make it to my birthday." "Dos." Emma sat down beside her, not too close, giving her space. "What happened to the studio?" "Daddy locked it after the funeral. He said it was too painful." Lily's voice turned bitter. "He says a lot of things are too painful. That's why he never talks to me anymore." Emma felt a wave of understanding wash over her. This wasn't just about losing a mother. This was about losing a father, too. Marcus hadn't died, but he had disappeared, retreating into his work, his grief, his guilt. And Lily had been left alone, with no one to hold her, no one to comfort her, no one to tell her that everything would be okay. No wonder she lashed out. No wonder she pushed everyone away. She was testing them, seeing if they would stay. And one by one, they all left, confirming what she already believed, that she was unlovable, that everyone who mattered would eventually abandon her. "Can I tell you a secret?" Emma asked. Lily looked at her warily. "What kind of secret?" "The kind that might help, if you want to hear it." Lily hesitated, then nodded. "When my mom died," Emma began, "I was 17. I had a little brother to take care of. He was only 8, and he was so scared. And I was scared too. I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't know how to pay bills or cook meals or make everything okay. I was just a kid myself." Emma paused, remembering those dark days. "I was so angry at everyone, at the doctors who couldn't save her, at the world for being unfair, at myself for not being strong enough. I pushed people away. I said terrible things. I wanted everyone to hurt as much as I was hurting." Lily was listening intently, her eyes fixed on Emma's face. "But eventually," Emma continued, "I realized something. The anger wasn't protecting me. It was trapping me. I was building walls so high that no one could get in, and the lonelier I got, the angrier I became. It was a cycle, and I was stuck in it." "How did you get out?" Lily asked quietly. I let someone help me, Emma said. A teacher at school. She saw what I was going through, and she didn't give up on me, even when I was mean, even when I tried to push her away. She kept showing up, kept checking on me, kept telling me that I wasn't alone. And eventually I started to believe her. Emma looked at Lily, really looked at her, seeing all the pain and fear and loneliness hiding behind that tough exterior. I'm not going to give up on you, Lily, no matter what you say or what you do. I'm going to keep showing up, because I know what it feels like to be lost. And I know that the way out isn't pushing people away, it's letting someone in. Lily stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, a tear rolled down her cheek. It was the first time she had cried in 3 years. The next few weeks were not easy. Lily tested Emma constantly, just as Emma had expected. She hid Emma's belongings. She refused to eat. She locked herself in her room for hours at a time. She said cruel things designed to hurt, to provoke, to push Emma away. But Emma didn't leave. Every morning she knocked on Lily's door and said good morning, even when Lily didn't respond. Every meal she set a place for Lily at the table, even when Lily refused to come down. Every night she sat outside Lily's door and read aloud from a book of fairy tales, even when Lily insisted she was too old for stories. "These are stupid," Lily shouted one night. "I don't want to hear about princesses and happy endings. That's not how real life works." "You're right," Emma said calmly. "Real life is harder, but stories can still teach us things, like how to be brave when we're scared, or how to hope when everything seems lost." "Hope is for suckers," Lily snapped. "Maybe," Emma said. "Or maybe hope is the thing that keeps us going when nothing else will." She kept reading. By the 3rd week, something started to shift. It began with small things. Lily left her door cracked open while Emma read. She started coming down for meals, even if she only picked at her food. She stopped hiding Emma's belongings and started asking questions instead. "Why do you stay?" Lily asked one evening. "Because I care about you." "But I've been awful to you." "Yes," Emma agreed, "but being awful doesn't make you unlovable. It just means you're hurting." Lily thought about that for a long time. On the 4th week, something bigger happened. Emma was cleaning up after dinner when Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, holding a sheet of paper. "I made you something," Lily said quietly. Emma wiped her hands and took the paper. It was a drawing. 2 figures holding hands, one tall with dark hair, one small with golden curls. Above them, in careful letters, Lily had written, "Emma and me." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Lily, this is beautiful." Lily shrugged, but there was a tiny smile on her face. "It's okay if you want to put it on the fridge. That's what normal families do, right?" Emma laughed through her tears and hugged Lily tight. "That's exactly what we're going to do." The real breakthrough came on a rainy Tuesday in October. Emma had noticed that Lily often wandered to the 3rd floor, stopping in front of a locked door at the end of the hallway. She would stand there for several minutes, her hand pressed against the wood, before turning away. Emma asked Harold about it. "That's Mrs. Parker's dance studio," Harold explained. "Mr. Parker had it locked after the funeral. He ordered that no one was to enter." That night, Emma made a decision. She found Marcus in his home office, surrounded by papers and glowing screens, looking exhausted. "We need to talk," Emma said. Marcus looked up, startled. Emma rarely sought him out. They passed each other in the hallways, exchanged brief updates about Lily, but that was the extent of their interaction. "Is Lily okay?" he asked immediately. "She's making progress, but there's something we need to address." Emma sat down across from him. "The dance studio, the one that's locked." Marcus's face closed off. "That's not open for discussion." "With all due respect, Mr. Parker, it needs to be. Lily goes to that door every single day. She stands there, touching it, trying to get closer to her mother. And every day she finds it locked. What message do you think that sends?" "That room is private. It was Caroline's space." "It was their space," Emma corrected. "Caroline was teaching Lily to dance. That studio was where they connected. By locking it away, you're not preserving a memory, you're burying it." Marcus stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. "You don't understand." "Then help me understand." Marcus was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely a whisper. "I can't go in there. Every time I try, I see her, dancing, laughing, alive. And then I remember that she's gone, and it's my fault." Emma frowned. "Your fault?" "She was taking Lily to dance class. A class I signed her up for, a class that I pushed for because I thought it would be good for Lily to have an activity. If I hadn't insisted—" He trailed off, his face crumbling. "Mr. Parker, that wasn't your fault. It was an accident. A terrible random accident. I know that, rationally I know that, but it doesn't change how I feel." He looked at Emma, his eyes haunted. "I can't face that room. I can't face the memories. I can't face my daughter because every time I look at her, I see Caroline, and it breaks me all over again." Emma felt a wave of compassion for this broken man. For 3 years, he had been drowning in guilt, isolating himself from the one person who needed him most. "Mr. Parker, I understand your pain, but your daughter needs you. She needs to know that you haven't abandoned her too, and right now that's exactly how she feels." Marcus sank back into his chair, his head in his hands. "I don't know how to reach her. Every time I try, she pushes me away. Because she's protecting herself. She's afraid that if she lets you in, you'll leave her too, just like you've been doing." The words were harsh, but Marcus didn't argue. He knew Emma was right. "What do I do?" he asked. Emma thought about it. Then she had an idea. "Open the studio." 2 days later, Marcus stood in front of the locked door, a key in his trembling hand. Lily was beside him, her expression wary, Emma just behind them. "Are you ready?" Emma asked gently. Marcus looked at his daughter. For the first time in 3 years, he really looked at her. He saw the pain she had been carrying, the loneliness, the fear. He saw his wife in her eyes, and instead of turning away, he let himself feel the love that came with it. "I'm ready," he said. He unlocked the door and pushed it open. The studio was exactly as Caroline had left it. Mirrors lined the walls, reflecting the afternoon light. A ballet bar stretched along one side. In the corner sat a small piano, sheet music still open on the stand. And everywhere, there were photographs. Carolyn dancing, Carolyn laughing, Carolyn holding a baby Lily in her arms. Lily stepped inside slowly, her eyes wide, drinking in every detail. "It's just like I remember," she whispered. She walked to the center of the room, running her fingers along the bar, looking at her reflection in the mirror. Then she did something no one expected. She began to dance. It wasn't polished, it wasn't perfect. It was clumsy and unrehearsed, the movements of a child trying to remember something she had learned years ago. But as she moved, something changed. She began to smile, and then she began to cry. Not tears of sadness this time, tears of release, tears of healing, tears that had been locked away for 3 long years. Marcus watched his daughter dance, and he cried too, for his wife, for his daughter, for all the time he had wasted hiding from his pain instead of facing it. When Lily stopped dancing, she looked at her father, really looked at him, for the first time since the accident. "I miss her, Daddy?" Marcus crossed the room and gathered his daughter in his arms. "I miss her too, sweetheart. I miss her every day, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you. I was so lost in my own pain that I couldn't see yours." Lily held on to him tight. "You're here now. I'm here now, and I'm never going to leave you again." They held each other for a long time, father and daughter, finally united in their grief, finally beginning to heal. Emma watched from the doorway, tears streaming down her face. This was what she had hoped for, not just to reach Lily, but to bring this family back together. And in that moment she realized that kindness really wasn't wasted. Her mother was right. It always came back. The months that followed were a transformation. Marcus began spending real time with his daughter. He cut back his hours at work. He had dinner with her every night, He learned to listen to her stories, her fears, her dreams. He started taking her to the studio, where they played Caroline's favorite music and danced together, clumsy and laughing and perfectly imperfect. Lily began to heal. She returned to school, slowly at first, then with growing confidence. She made friends. She joined the school's dance program. She started smiling again, really smiling, the kind of smile that reached her eyes. Emma remained at the mansion, but her role changed. She was no longer just a caretaker. She was family. Danny thrived at his new school, earning top grades and dreaming of college. Marcus had set up a full scholarship fund for him, insisting it was the least he could do. And one evening, about 6 months after Emma had arrived, Marcus found her sitting in the garden, watching the sunset. "You saved us," he said quietly, sitting beside her. Emma shook her head. "No, you saved each other. I just helped you find your way back. You're being modest. What you did, nobody else could have done that. I just saw her, really saw her. That's all anyone needs, really. To be seen, to be heard, to know they're not alone." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I want to do something for you, something meaningful. You've already done so much. The job, the home, Danny's school. That's not enough. You gave me my daughter back. You gave me my life back." He took a deep breath. "I want to start a foundation in Caroline's name, a foundation that helps grieving children, children who have lost parents, who feel alone, who need someone to see them the way you saw Lily." Emma's eyes widened. "Mr. Parker, I want you to run it. I'll provide the funding. You provide the heart." Emma was speechless. This was more than she had ever dreamed. A chance to help children like Lily, like herself, like Danny. A chance to make her mother's philosophy of kindness into something lasting. I don't know what to say. Say yes." Emma looked at this man who had started as a desperate stranger and become something like family. She thought about all the children out there, hurting and alone, waiting for someone to see them. "Yes," she said, "I'll do it. But yes." The Caroline Parker Foundation launched the following spring. Its mission was simple: to provide grief counseling, mentorship, and support to children who had lost parents. Every child was matched with a mentor who understood their pain, who could walk beside them through the darkness, who would never give up on them. Emma was at the heart of it all. She trained the mentors. She visited the families. She held the hands of children who reminded her of Lily, of herself, of everyone who had ever felt lost. And every time she saw a child begin to heal, she thought of her mother, and she smiled. Years passed. Danny graduated from high school and went on to a top university, eventually becoming a pediatric doctor, dedicating his life to helping sick children. Lily grew into a remarkable young woman. She became a professional dancer, performing on stages around the world. Every performance she dedicated to her mother. And every opening night, Emma and Marcus were in the front row, cheering her on. Marcus never remarried, but he found peace. He scaled back his work even further, spending his time with Lily, with the foundation, with the family he had almost lost. He and Emma became close friends, bonded by the journey they had shared. And Emma? Emma found something she had never expected: purpose, belonging, home. One evening, many years after that first night at the hotel, Emma was attending the Foundation's annual gala. The event was celebrating a milestone. 10,000 children helped. 10,000 lives changed. Emma stood at the podium, looking out at the crowd. She saw Marcus, gray-haired now but smiling. She saw Danny, tall and proud in his doctor's coat. She saw Lily, radiant and beautiful, with a baby of her own on her hip, a baby named Caroline. And she thought about a poor girl who had taken a chance on a broken family, a girl who had nothing to offer but kindness, but who discovered that kindness was enough. "When I started this journey," Emma said, her voice steady, "I was nobody special. I was a girl who cleaned hotel rooms and dreamed of a better life. I didn't have money or power or connections. All I had was the memory of my mother, who taught me that helping people is never wasted. She paused, looking at the faces before her. I learned that lesson because someone showed me what it meant. A little girl named Lily who was angry and scared and so very alone. She taught me that behind every difficult child is a child in pain. Behind every closed door is a heart waiting to be opened. And behind every impossibility is a chance to do something extraordinary. She smiled. No one could handle the CEO's daughter. That's what they said. But the truth is, Lily didn't need someone to handle her. She needed someone to love her, someone to stay, someone to see her. Emma looked at Lily, who was crying happy tears. And I'm so grateful I got to be that someone, because in helping her, she saved me too. The room erupted in applause. Later that night, Lily found Emma on the balcony, looking up at the stars. "Hey, second mom," Lily said, a nickname she had used for years. Emma laughed. "Hey, trouble." Lily stood beside her, baby Caroline sleeping in her arms. They were quiet for a moment, two women connected by a bond that transcended blood. "Thank you," Lily said softly, "for everything." Emma put her arm around Lily. "Thank you for letting me in." They stood together, looking at the stars, thinking about the women who had come before them. Carolyn Parker, who had danced like an angel. Rosa Grace, who had believed that kindness was never wasted. Both of them gone. But both of them still there, in every act of love, every moment of connection, every child who found hope. "Do you think they can see us?" Lily asked. Emma smiled. "I know they can." Somewhere above, the stars seemed to twinkle a little brighter, and in that moment everything felt exactly right. The poor girl who did the impossible didn't do it with money or power or special training. She did it with the one thing that money cannot buy and power cannot create. She did it with love. And that love, passed down from mother to daughter, from stranger to family, from one broken heart to another, would continue to change lives for generations to come. Because that's the thing about kindness. It doesn't end with one person. It ripples outward, touching everyone it meets, growing stronger with every act, every gesture, every moment of genuine human connection. Rosa Grace knew it. Caroline Parker lived it. Emma embodied it. And now, baby Caroline would carry it forward into a future none of them could imagine. The cycle of kindness, unbroken. The legacy of love, eternal. And in the end, that was the real impossibility made possible. Not that a troubled child was healed. Not that a broken family was restored. But that out of tragedy, out of pain, out of loneliness, something beautiful could grow. Something that no amount of money could buy. Something that no therapist could prescribe. Something that only happens when one human heart reaches out to another and says, "I see you, I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." That was the miracle. That was the impossible made possible. And that was what a poor girl, with nothing but love to give, gave to the world.